Hello, listeners. Welcome to the Planet Scientist. Take a deep breath. Let your shoulders drop. Find a comfortable place to rest, whether you're lying down or sitting peacefully. Tonight, we're going on a journey together. A slow, gentle exploration of something so familiar yet so extraordinary that we often forget its magic. We're going to travel through the seasons of our Earth. Not rushing, not hurrying, but moving like the planet itself moves, with grace, with purpose, with a quiet rhythm that has been unfolding for billions of years. Close your eyes if you wish. Let the sound of these words carry you like a soft breeze through the gardens of time. We have an hour and a half together, and there's nowhere else you need to be. The seasons will wait for us, as they always have, as they always will. Why seasons exist? Imagine our Earth not as a rigid sphere spinning in space, but as a graceful dancer. This dancer doesn't spin upright like a toy top. No, she tilts. She leans into her movement with an elegant angle of 23.5 degrees, like a ballerina caught in an eternal arabesque. This tilt, this gentle leaning, is the secret behind the seasons. It's what makes our world breathe with the rhythm of change. What makes the light shift and dance across our landscapes throughout the year. Picture the Earth as she travels her ancient path around the sun. It takes her 365 days to complete this journey. A year, we call it. But as she travels, she doesn't travel upright. She travels tilted, and this tilt means that sometimes the northern part of our planet leans toward the sun, and sometimes it leans away. Sometimes the southern part receives the sun's direct embrace, and sometimes it turns its face toward the darkness of space. When the northern hemisphere tilts toward the sun, the days grow longer there. The sun climbs higher in the sky, stays longer at the party of daylight. This is summer in the north. Meanwhile, far below the equator, the southern hemisphere tilts away, receiving less direct sunlight, experiencing shorter days. This is their winter. 6 months later, as Earth continues her patient journey around the sun, the dance reverses. The northern hemisphere tilts away from the sun, and the long nights of winter begin. The southern hemisphere tilts toward the sun, and their summer blooms. It's a dance of balance, of give and take, of light and shadow. Neither hemisphere is forgotten. They simply take turns receiving the sun's most direct gift of light and warmth. There are moments in this dance when the Earth stands perfectly balanced, when neither hemisphere tilts significantly toward or away from the sun. These are the equinoxes, the spring equinox in March and the autumn equinox in September. On these days, day and night are equal across the globe, as if the Earth pauses in her dance to acknowledge the balance inherent in all things. And there are moments when the tilt is most extreme. The solstices, the summer solstice in June, when the northern hemisphere leans most fully toward the sun, receiving the longest day of the year. The winter solstice in December, when the northern hemisphere tilts furthest away, creating the longest night. The year in motion. Let's follow our Earth through one complete revolution around the sun, watching how the light changes, how the seasons flow into one another like movements in a cosmic symphony. It begins in March with the spring equinox. The Earth stands balanced, and across the northern hemisphere, winter's grip begins to loosen. The sun's path across the sky grows higher each day. Light returns, not all at once, but gradually, like dawn breaking slowly over a sleeping landscape. As the Earth continues her journey, the northern hemisphere begins its gentle tilt toward the sun. April arrives, then May, and the tilt increases. The days grow longer, the sun climbs higher, and the warmth spreads across the land like a soft blanket being pulled up over the world. June brings the summer solstice, the moment when the northern hemisphere tilts most fully toward the sun. The longest day of the year arrives, and the sun seems to pause in its journey, hanging high in the sky as if reluctant to begin its descent. But all things must turn, and slowly, imperceptibly, the light begins its gradual retreat. Through July and August, the days remain long and warm, but they're growing shorter. The Earth continues her orbit, and the tilt that brought summer begins to lessen. The sun's path across the sky grows lower each day, though the change is so gradual that we barely notice it at first. September brings the autumn equinox, another moment of perfect balance. Day and night stand equal once again, and the northern hemisphere begins its tilt away from the sun. The light fades earlier each evening, and the warmth slowly seeps away from the land. October, November, and the tilt increases. The days grow shorter, the nights longer. The sun hangs lower in the sky, its light falling at a gentler angle, carrying less warmth. December arrives with the winter solstice, the longest night of the year. The northern hemisphere tilts furthest from the sun, and darkness embraces the land. But even in the deepest winter, there's a promise of return. The solstice marks not just the longest night, but also the turning point. From this moment on, the light begins its slow return journey. January and February may be cold and dark, but each day brings a little more light, a little more hope. And then March arrives again, bringing the spring equinox, and the cycle begins anew. The Earth continues her eternal dance, tilting and turning, bringing seasons to every corner of her surface, ensuring that nowhere is left unchanged by the passage of time. This is the rhythm that has governed life on our planet for billions of years. It's the heartbeat of our world, the slow pulse that drives the great cycles of growth and rest, of abundance and scarcity, of life and dormancy. And we, as children of this planet, are part of this rhythm. It flows through our bodies, our minds, our very souls. Spring, a gentle awakening. The return of light. Spring whispers life back into the land like a gentle mother calling her children home from sleep. After the long silence of winter, when the world seemed wrapped in crystal stillness, something stirs. It begins subtly, so subtly that you might miss it if you're not paying attention. The sun, which has been hanging low in the sky like a pale medallion, begins to climb higher with each passing day. The light, which has been filtered and weak, begins to strengthen and warm. There's a particular quality to spring light that's different from any other season. It's not the full, confident brightness of summer, nor the golden richness of autumn, nor the sharp, cold clarity of winter. Spring light is soft and hopeful, like candlelight seen through morning mist. It carries promise in its beams, whispering to every sleeping seed, every dormant root, every creature waiting in the dark. It's time. It's time to wake up. The trees are the first to hear this whisper. Long before the last snow has melted, before the ground has fully thawed, the trees begin to stir. Deep in their roots, sap begins to rise like a slow, sweet river. The dormant buds on their branches, which have waited through the entire winter like tiny green prayers, begin to swell. Watch a tree in early spring, and you'll witness one of nature's most tender miracles. The buds don't burst open all at once. They unfurl gradually like shy dancers taking the stage. First, the outer scales part slightly, revealing a hint of the green treasure within. Then, day by day, the scales peel back further until finally the first leaves emerge. Small, perfectly formed, and impossibly tender. Each leaf is a masterpiece of engineering and artistry, perfectly shaped with veins that map out like rivers across continents. They're designed to catch the light and transform it into life. But in spring, they're also something more. They're symbols of hope, proof that life endures, that winter's reign is not forever. The birds know about spring too. They begin their return journey from warmer lands, guided by ancient instincts and the lengthening days. They arrive not all at once, but in waves. First the hardiest species, then the more delicate ones, each timing their arrival to coincide with the awakening of their particular foods and nesting sites. Listen to the dawn chorus in spring, and you'll hear the sound of pure joy. The birds don't sing from necessity. They sing from abundance, from the sheer exuberance of being alive in a world that's waking up. Their songs weave together into a symphony of celebration, a musical announcement that winter is ending and life is beginning again. The flowers, too, answer spring's call. Buried bulbs, which have been storing energy through the dark months, send up shoots that seem impossibly delicate for their journey through the still cold earth. Snowdrops and crocuses push through the last patches of snow, their petals like tiny flags of surrender to winter's retreat. And then come the daffodils, the tulips, the hyacinths, each flower a brushstroke in nature's masterpiece of renewal. They bloom not for our enjoyment, though we certainly enjoy them, but to attract pollinators, to ensure the continuation of their species. But in their beauty, they speak to something deeper in us. They remind us that beauty itself is a form of hope, a promise that life is more than mere survival. The biology of renewal. Spring is not just a metaphor for renewal. It's a biological reality written into the very DNA of life on Earth. Deep in the soil, seeds that have been waiting through winter begin to sense the warming earth. They respond to a combination of signals: the increasing warmth, the lengthening days, the presence of moisture. These signals trigger a cascade of biological processes that have been honed over millions of years of evolution. The seed's hard outer shell, which has protected it through winter's harsh conditions, begins to soften. Water seeps in, activating enzymes that have been dormant. The seed's stored nutrients, starches, proteins, oils, begin to break down, providing fuel for the growth that's about to begin. A tiny root emerges first, always the root, pushing downward into the earth, seeking water and nutrients. Then comes the shoot, pushing upward toward the light. This is one of nature's most fundamental behaviors. Roots grow down, shoots grow up, as if the plant knows instinctively which way is which in the darkness of the soil. The emerging plant is following a program written in its genetic code, but it's also responding to its environment. The amount of light, the temperature, the moisture, all of these factors influence how it grows. This is why plants in different locations, even of the same species, can look slightly different. They're adapting to their specific circumstances while following their general blueprint. Animals, too, are responding to spring signals. The lengthening days trigger changes in their hormone levels, awakening behaviors that have been dormant through winter. Birds begin their mating rituals, their songs becoming more elaborate and urgent. Mammals emerge from hibernation, their bodies slowly warming, their metabolisms increasing. For many animals, spring is baby season. The timing is perfect, the weather is warming, food is becoming more abundant, and there's a full summer ahead for the young to grow and learn before the next winter arrives. Watch any nature documentary about spring, and you'll see the same story repeated across species. New life everywhere, in every form imaginable. Even in our own bodies, we respond to spring's arrival. The increasing daylight stimulates our pineal glands to produce less melatonin, the hormone that makes us sleepy. Our serotonin levels rise, improving our mood and energy. Our vitamin D production increases as we spend more time in the strengthening sunlight. This is why so many people feel a surge of energy and optimism in spring. It's not just psychological, it's biological. We're animals too, and we're responding to the same signals that awaken the rest of the natural world. But spring's renewal goes deeper than just individual organisms. Entire ecosystems are waking up, and the relationships between species are reactivating. Pollinators and flowers reunite in their ancient dance. Predators and prey resume their eternal cycles. The great web of life, which has been simplified by winter's harsh conditions, becomes complex and interconnected once again. Spring rituals and myths. Humans have always understood that spring is special. Across cultures and throughout history, we've created rituals and celebrations to mark this miraculous time of renewal. Easter, perhaps the most widespread of spring celebrations, is built around the theme of resurrection and rebirth. The Easter egg, a symbol of new life, and the Easter bunny, a symbol of fertility and abundance, both speak to spring's fundamental nature. The date of Easter itself is tied to the spring equinox and the lunar cycle, connecting the celebration to the astronomical events that create the seasons. In India, Holi, the festival of colors, celebrates spring's arrival with an explosion of joy and vibrancy. People throw colored powder at each other, dance in the streets, and celebrate the victory of good over evil. The colors themselves represent the vibrancy of spring, the flowers, the new leaves, the bright blue sky after winter's gray. In Iran and other Persian cultures, Nowruz marks the spring equinox and the beginning of the new year. Families gather around tables set with 7 symbolic items, each representing a different aspect of life and renewal. The celebration lasts for 13 days, acknowledging that spring doesn't arrive all at once but unfolds gradually. In Japan, cherry blossom season is treated with an almost religious reverence. The brief, spectacular blooming of the sakura trees is seen as a metaphor for the beauty and transience of life. People gather in parks to view the blossoms, to eat and drink and celebrate under the flowered branches. It's a reminder that beauty is precious precisely because it doesn't last forever. These celebrations share common themes: light returning after darkness, life emerging from death, hope triumphing over despair. They acknowledge that spring is not just a season, but a state of being, a way of looking at the world that emphasizes possibility and renewal. In many traditions, spring is also associated with cleansing and new beginnings. Spring cleaning, a practice found in cultures around the world, represents more than just tidying up. It's a ritual of renewal, a way of preparing our living spaces to receive the new energy that spring brings. The myths and stories of spring often feature themes of descent and return, of loss and recovery. The Greek myth of Persephone, who returns from the underworld to bring spring to the earth, is perhaps the most famous, but similar stories can be found in many cultures. They all speak to the same deep truth, that life is cyclical, that death is not the end but the beginning of transformation. Summer, the sun's embrace, light at its peak. Summer arrives not with a sudden announcement, but with a gradual crescendo of light and warmth that builds until the world seems to hum with energy. The summer solstice, the longest day of the year, marks the peak of this luminous season. On this day, the sun traces its highest arc across the sky, seeming to pause at its zenith as if reluctant to begin its descent. The light is everywhere, bold and confident, streaming through windows, dancing on water, filtering through leaves to create cathedrals of green and gold. This is the sun at its most generous, pouring energy onto the earth with lavish abundance. The light doesn't just illuminate, it transforms. It's the engine that drives the great machinery of life, the fuel that powers the planet's biological processes. In the forests, the trees have reached their full glory. Their leaves, which emerged so tentatively in spring, now form dense canopies that capture and process the abundant sunlight. Through the miracle of photosynthesis, they're converting light into sugar, carbon dioxide into oxygen, sunbeams into the very substance of life. Each leaf is a tiny solar panel perfectly designed to capture photons and transform them into chemical energy. The chlorophyll in the leaves gives them their green color. But it's more than just pigment. It's the key that unlocks the energy of sunlight. When light hits a chlorophyll molecule, it excites electrons, setting off a chain of chemical reactions that ultimately creates glucose, the sugar that fuels plant growth. But the trees aren't just feeding themselves, they're feeding the entire ecosystem. The oxygen they release into the atmosphere is what we breathe. The sugars they produce feed not just their own growth, but also the countless creatures that depend on them, from the tiniest insects to the largest mammals. The forests in summer are like vast living cathedrals. The tall trees form columns that support a canopy roof, while shafts of sunlight stream through gaps in the leaves like natural stained glass. The air is thick with the scent of growing things, rich with moisture and the green smell of chlorophyll. In the meadows and fields, wildflowers reach their peak bloom. The abundance of sunlight allows them to produce flowers of incredible diversity and beauty. Each flower is a solar collector, using the sun's energy to create the spectacular displays that attract pollinators. The relationship between flowers and pollinators is one of nature's most elegant partnerships. The flowers provide nectar and pollen, while the pollinators ensure the plants can reproduce. The prairies and grasslands, too, are at their most magnificent in summer. The grasses, which might seem humble compared to the dramatic trees and colorful flowers, are actually some of the most efficient converters of sunlight into biomass. They form the foundation of vast food webs, supporting everything from insects to bison. Summer is also the season of abundance for many animals. The long days provide extended feeding time, and the warm weather means that less energy is needed for maintaining body temperature. Young animals that were born in spring have had time to grow and develop, and they're now learning the skills they'll need to survive. Human connection to summer touches something deep in the human soul. It's written into our biology, our psychology, our cultural memory. We are creatures who evolved under the sun, and summer awakens ancestral memories of abundance and freedom. The long days of summer align with our natural circadian rhythms in a way that makes us feel more alive, more energetic. The extended daylight suppresses melatonin production, keeping us alert and active for longer periods. Many people report feeling more creative, more social, more adventurous during the summer months. There's also something about summer light that affects our mood in profound ways. The bright, warm sunlight triggers the production of serotonin, the neurotransmitter associated with happiness and well-being. This is why so many people experience a lift in their spirits when summer arrives, why beaches and parks fill with people eager to soak up the sun's rays. Summer is the season of vacation, of travel, of breaking free from the routines that constrain us during the rest of the year. There's something about the long days and warm weather that makes us want to explore, to adventure, to seek out new experiences. Perhaps it's because summer represents a time of abundance. When food was plentiful and the weather was favorable, our ancestors could afford to be more adventurous. The memories we form in summer often have a special quality. They're more vivid, more emotionally charged. Think of your own summer memories. They probably involve sensory details that are unusually sharp. The smell of sunscreen, the feeling of sand between your toes, the sound of cicadas humming in the evening air, the taste of ice cream on a hot day. This might be because summer engages all our senses so completely. The bright light makes colors more vibrant. The warm air carries scents more effectively. The long days give us more time to accumulate experiences. Our brains, responding to the season's abundance, seem to record these experiences with extra clarity. Summer is also the season of celebration in many cultures. The warm weather and long days make it perfect for festivals, concerts, and outdoor gatherings. From music festivals to county fairs, from beach parties to backyard barbecues, summer is when communities come together to celebrate life and abundance. Food, too, is different in summer. The abundance of fresh fruits and vegetables makes our diets more varied and colorful. The warm weather changes our appetites. We crave lighter, fresher foods, ice cream, cold drinks, fresh salads. These aren't just practical responses to the heat. They're celebrations of summer's bounty. There's also something about summer that makes us more aware of our bodies, more conscious of our physical selves. The lighter clothing, the outdoor activities, the swimming and hiking and playing, all of these connect us more directly to our physical nature. We become more animal-like in summer, more instinctual, more present in our bodies. Cultural stories of the sun. Throughout human history, the sun has been worshipped, celebrated, and mythologized. Summer, when the sun's power is at its peak, has inspired some of humanity's most profound spiritual and cultural expressions. In ancient Egypt, Ra, the sun god, was the king of the gods, the source of all life and power. The Egyptians understood that without the sun, their civilization, built around the life-giving waters of the Nile, could not exist. They built their greatest monuments to honor the sun's journey across the sky, and their entire religion was centered around the daily death and rebirth of the solar deity. The ancient Greeks had Helios, who drove his chariot of fire across the sky each day, but they also had Apollo, the god of light, music, and prophecy, who embodied the sun's more refined qualities, its role as the bringer of knowledge and enlightenment. The Greeks understood that the sun wasn't just a source of physical light, but also a metaphor for intellectual and spiritual illumination. In many Native American traditions, the sun is seen as a life giver, a provider, a father figure who watches over the earth and its creatures. The sun dance, practiced by many Plains tribes, is one of the most important ceremonies, a ritual of renewal and sacrifice that honors the sun's power and asks for its continued blessings. The summer solstice itself has been celebrated by cultures around the world. Stonehenge, built thousands of years ago, is perfectly aligned to frame the sunrise on the summer solstice. The ancient Druids lit bonfires on hilltops to celebrate the sun's power. In Scandinavia, midsummer is still celebrated with dancing, feasting, and the lighting of fires. These celebrations recognize something that modern life sometimes causes us to forget, that we are dependent on the sun for everything. Our food comes from plants that photosynthesize sunlight. Our weather patterns are driven by solar energy. Our very existence depends on the steady, reliable burning of that great star 93 million miles away. But the sun in mythology is not always benevolent. It can also be destructive, overwhelming, dangerous. The Greek myth of Icarus, who flew too close to the sun and fell into the sea, reminds us that the sun's power must be respected. Desert cultures often have complex relationships with the sun. They honor it as a life giver, but also fear it as a potential destroyer. Summer teaches us about both aspects of solar power. It shows us the abundance and beauty that the sun can create, but it also reminds us of our limits. The hottest days of summer can be dangerous, even deadly. We learn to seek shade, to stay hydrated, to respect the sun's power even as we celebrate its gifts. In our modern world, we've perhaps lost some of this reverence for the sun. We take its light for granted, shield ourselves from its rays, and live much of our lives indoors. But summer calls us back to a more ancient relationship with the sun, one based on respect, gratitude, and wonder at the star that makes all life possible. Autumn, the slow descent, nature's transition. Autumn teaches us the art of graceful letting go. As summer's intensity begins to wane, the world doesn't suddenly shift into autumn. It eases into it, like a skilled musician modulating from one key to another. The changes are subtle at first. The light, which has been bright and bold all summer, begins to soften. The days, which seem to stretch endlessly, start to shorten, almost imperceptibly at first, then more noticeably as the season progresses. The first sign of autumn might be a single leaf, changed from green to gold, fluttering down from a tree that still wears its summer dress. Or it might be the quality of the light itself, less harsh, more golden, slanting through the air at a different angle as the sun's path across the sky begins to lower. The trees are the great performers of autumn's theater. All summer long, they've been busy with the work of photosynthesis, their leaves working tirelessly to convert sunlight into energy. But as the days shorten and the temperatures cool, the trees begin to prepare for winter's arrival. They start to withdraw the nutrients from their leaves, pulling back the green chlorophyll and storing it in their roots and trunk. As the chlorophyll disappears, other pigments that have been present in the leaves all along begin to show through. The yellow carotenoids, which have been masked by the dominant green, emerge like hidden gold. The red and purple anthocyanins, which the tree produces in response to the cooling temperatures and bright autumn light, create spectacular displays of color. Each tree species has its own signature autumn performance. Maples burst into flames of red and orange. Oaks turn deep gold and russet brown. Birches glow like candles with their bright yellow leaves. Dogwoods put on shows of deep crimson. The forests become galleries of living art, each tree a masterpiece painted by the chemistry of seasons. But the changing leaves are more than just beautiful. They're a demonstration of one of nature's most elegant strategies for survival. By dropping their leaves, trees avoid the energy cost of maintaining them through winter. The fallen leaves don't go to waste. They decompose, adding nutrients to the soil and providing habitat for countless small creatures. The animals, too, are preparing for winter's arrival. Squirrels gather and bury nuts, creating scattered pantries throughout their territories. Bears eat voraciously, building up fat reserves that will sustain them through hibernation. Birds that migrate begin their long journeys south, following ancient routes encoded in their genes. Many animals grow thicker coats as autumn progresses. The summer's light fur gives way to dense winter pelts. Some animals, like Arctic foxes and snowshoe hares, even change color, their brown summer coats slowly being replaced by white winter ones. The insects, so abundant in summer, begin to disappear. Some die with the first frost, but not before laying eggs that will hatch the following spring. Others, like monarch butterflies, begin epic migrations that can span thousands of miles. Still others find sheltered places to spend the winter in dormancy, waiting for spring's return. In the gardens and fields, the last harvest of the year are gathered. Apples hang heavy on the trees, their sweetness concentrated by the cool nights and warm days. Pumpkins and squashes ripen in the fields, their bright orange and deep green colors adding to autumn's palette. Corn stands ready for harvest, its golden kernels like captured sunlight. This is the season of gathering, of preparation, of making ready. Our ancestors understood this deeply. Autumn was the time to preserve food, to repair homes, to make all the preparations necessary for winter's arrival. Modern life has insulated us from many of these seasonal rhythms, but the instinct remains. We still feel the urge to nest, to gather, to prepare as autumn arrives. The science of color. The spectacular colors of autumn leaves are the result of a complex interplay of chemistry, biology, and physics, a scientific symphony that creates one of nature's most beautiful displays. Throughout spring and summer, leaves are green because of chlorophyll, the pigment that captures light energy for photosynthesis. Chlorophyll is so dominant that it masks other pigments that are also present in the leaf. But chlorophyll is also unstable. It breaks down constantly and must be continuously replaced. This replacement process requires energy and specific environmental conditions. As autumn arrives and the days shorten, the tree receives signals that winter is approaching. The tree begins to form a barrier of cells between the branch and the leaf stem, gradually cutting off the flow of nutrients to the leaf. Without these nutrients, the leaf can no longer produce new chlorophyll to replace what's being broken down. As the green chlorophyll disappears, other pigments that have been present all along begin to show through. Carotenoids, which produce yellow and orange colors, are much more stable than chlorophyll. They're the same pigments that make carrots orange and corn yellow. As the chlorophyll breaks down, these yellow and orange pigments emerge, creating the golden colors of autumn birches and the bright oranges of sugar maples. Red and purple colors come from anthocyanins, which are produced specifically in response to autumn conditions. These pigments are created when sugars become concentrated in the leaf as the tree's nutrient transport system shuts down. The production of anthocyanins requires bright light and cool temperatures, which is why the most spectacular autumn colors often occur after a series of warm, sunny days followed by cool nights. The intensity of autumn colors depends on several factors. Weather plays a crucial role. Dry conditions can cause leaves to fall before they develop their full color, while the right combination of warm days and cool nights can produce spectacular displays. The amount of sugar in the leaves also affects color intensity, which is why trees that have had a good growing season often produce the most vibrant autumn colors. Different tree species have evolved different strategies for autumn color. Some, like oaks, produce primarily brown colors from tannins, the same compounds that make tea taste bitter. Others, like maples, can produce the full spectrum of autumn colors depending on their genetics and growing conditions. The timing of color change also varies by species and location. Trees at higher elevations and latitudes typically change color earlier as they experience cooler temperatures first. Within a single tree, leaves may change color at different rates depending on their age and position on the tree. But autumn colors serve purposes beyond simple beauty. The anthocyanins that create red and purple colors may actually protect the leaf from light damage as it's shutting down, acting like a natural sunscreen. The colors may also serve as signals to insects, warning them that the leaves are no longer good sources of food. As beautiful as autumn colors are, they're ultimately a sign of the tree's preparation for dormancy. The tree is dismantling its summer machinery, withdrawing valuable nutrients and preparing to enter the quiet phase of winter. The spectacular colors are the tree's farewell performance, its last gift before the long sleep of winter begins. Fall around the world. Autumn's arrival is celebrated around the world with festivals that honor the season's gifts of harvest, beauty, and transformation. In East Asia, the Mid-Autumn Festival, also known as the Moon Festival, celebrates the full moon closest to the autumn equinox. Families gather to view the moon, eat mooncakes, and share stories. The festival celebrates the harmony between humans and nature, the importance of family unity, and the beauty of the autumn season. Lanterns are lit, and children carry them through the streets, creating a warm glow that mirrors the golden light of autumn. In India, Diwali, the festival of lights, often falls in autumn. Though its religious significance varies among different communities, the festival universally celebrates the triumph of light over darkness, good over evil. Homes are decorated with oil lamps and candles, creating a warm golden atmosphere that echoes autumn's golden colors. The festival also marks the beginning of the new year in some Hindu traditions, recognizing autumn as a time of new beginnings as well as endings. In the United States, Thanksgiving embodies autumn's spirit of gratitude and abundance. Originally a celebration of the successful harvest that allowed early settlers to survive their first winter, Thanksgiving has evolved into a broader celebration of gratitude for life's blessings. The traditional foods, turkey, cranberries, pumpkin, sweet potatoes, are all autumn harvests, connecting the celebration directly to the season's bounty. Mexico's Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, acknowledges autumn's themes of death and transformation in a celebratory rather than mournful way. Families honor deceased loved ones with colorful altars, special foods, and joyful remembrance. The festival recognizes that death is part of life's natural cycle, just as the death of leaves is part of the tree's natural cycle. In many European countries, harvest festivals celebrate the gathering of the year's crops. These celebrations often include displays of the season's bounty, corn stalks, pumpkins, apples, and other fruits and vegetables. Traditional foods are prepared and shared, and communities come together to give thanks for the year's abundance. Wine harvest festivals, common in grape-growing regions around the world, celebrate one of autumn's most sophisticated products. The timing of grape harvest is crucial. Too early and the grapes haven't developed their full flavor. Too late and they may be damaged by frost. The festivals celebrate not just the harvest but the ancient art of winemaking, the transformation of simple fruit into something complex and beautiful. Oktoberfest, though it actually begins in September, is another celebration of autumn's abundance. Originally a harvest festival, it has evolved into a celebration of beer, food, and community. The festival recognizes that autumn is not just about preparation for winter, but also about enjoying the abundance that the growing season has provided. These festivals share common themes: gratitude for abundance, recognition of life's cycles, and the importance of community. They acknowledge that autumn is a time of both celebration and reflection, of both joy and melancholy. They recognize that the beauty of autumn is intensified by its transience, that the golden colors are more precious because they don't last forever. Winter, stillness and rest. The quiet season. Winter is the season of stillness, the time when the world draws inward and rests. When winter arrives, it brings with it a quality of silence that's different from any other season. It's not the absence of sound. There are still birds calling, wind moving through bare branches, the soft whisper of falling snow. But there's a quality of hush, a sense that the world is holding its breath, waiting. The trees stand bare against the winter sky, their branches creating intricate patterns of black lines against gray and white. Without their leaves, we can see their true architecture, the way they branch and divide, the elegant geometry of their growth. In summer, trees are green abundance. In winter, they're living sculptures, their forms revealed in stark, beautiful detail. But the trees are not dead. They're dormant, resting. Deep within their roots and trunk, life continues at a slower pace. The sap flows more slowly. The cells divide less frequently, but the essential processes of life continue. The tree is conserving its energy, waiting for spring's return. Snow, when it comes, transforms the landscape into something magical. It covers the sharp edges of rocks and buildings, softens the harsh lines of winter, and creates a world of gentle curves and soft shadows. Snow is nature's blanket, insulating the earth and the creatures that shelter beneath it. Under the snow, a hidden world continues. Small mammals tunnel through the space between the snow and the ground, creating networks of paths and chambers. The snow provides insulation, keeping the ground warmer than the air above. Seeds and roots rest in this protected space, waiting for spring's warmth to awaken them. The animals that remain active in winter have adapted in remarkable ways. Deer grow thick winter coats and learn to paw through snow to find food. Squirrels rely on the caches they created in autumn, remembering the locations of hundreds of buried nuts. Birds that don't migrate develop strategies for finding food in the lean months, often visiting feeders that kind humans provide. Some animals embrace winter's invitation to rest completely. Bears enter their dens and slow their heart rates, breathing, and metabolism. They don't truly hibernate like some smaller mammals, but they enter a state of deep dormancy that allows them to survive the months when food is scarce. Their bodies live off the fat they accumulated during autumn's abundance. True hibernators like ground squirrels and some bats enter an even deeper state of dormancy. Their body temperatures drop dramatically. Their breathing becomes so slow it's barely perceptible, and their heart rate slow to just a few beats per minute. They're living at the very edge of life, conserving every bit of energy until spring returns. Winter's silence is not empty. It's full of potential. Under the snow, seeds are experiencing the cold period they need to germinate in spring. The freezing and thawing of soil creates tiny spaces that roots can penetrate. The slow decay of fallen leaves continues, enriching the soil for next year's growth. There's a quality of peace in winter that's different from any other season. The frenetic activity of spring growth, summer abundance, and autumn preparation gives way to a deep stillness. Time seems to slow down, and there's space for reflection, for turning inward, for rest. In the depths of winter, the days are short and the nights are long. The sun, when it appears, hangs low in the sky, casting long shadows and painting the snow with shades of blue and gold. The light is clear and sharp, with a quality that makes everything seem crystalline and pure. But even in winter's depths, there are signs of life continuing. Evergreen trees stand green against the snow, their needle-shaped leaves adapted to retain water and continue photosynthesis even in cold conditions. Winter birds add splashes of color to the monochrome landscape. The red of cardinals, the blue of jays, the yellow of goldfinches. And always, even in the deepest winter, there's the promise of return. The winter solstice marks the longest night, but it also marks the turning point. From that day forward, the days begin to lengthen again, so gradually at first that the change is barely perceptible, but steadily, inevitably, the light returns. Biological purpose of rest. Winter's enforced rest serves crucial biological purposes that extend far beyond simple energy conservation. For plants, winter dormancy is essential for long-term survival. The cold period, called vernalization, is actually required by many plants before they can bloom in spring. Without winter's chill, apple trees won't produce fruit. Tulips won't flower, and many grasses won't grow properly. Winter isn't just something plants endure, it's something they need. The freezing and thawing cycles of winter also serve important ecological functions. They break up soil, creating better conditions for root growth. They help decompose organic matter, returning nutrients to the soil. They even help control pest populations, as many insects and disease organisms cannot survive the cold. For animals, winter rest serves multiple purposes. Hibernation allows animals to survive when food is scarce and energy demands are high. but it also serves as a time for cellular repair and regeneration. Some research suggests that hibernating animals actually age more slowly during their dormant periods, as if time itself slows down for them. Even for humans, winter's call to rest and reflection serves important psychological and biological functions. The shorter days and longer nights naturally encourage more sleep, which is essential for mental health, immune function, and cellular repair. The slower pace of winter allows for the kind of deep rest that's harder to achieve during the more active seasons. Winter teaches us that rest is not laziness. It's a necessary part of the cycle of life. Growth and activity must be balanced with rest and reflection. The seed that doesn't rest in winter cannot bloom in spring. The tree that doesn't go dormant cannot survive the cold. And perhaps we too need winter's gift of stillness to prepare for the growth and activity that will come with spring's return. Peaceful recap and reflection. As we reach the end of our journey through the seasons, take a moment to breathe deeply and reflect on the beautiful rhythm we've explored together. We began with the earth as a dancer, tilting and turning through space, creating the grand choreography of seasons through her patient orbit around the sun. We've watched as this cosmic dance brings light and shadow, warmth and cold, growth and rest to every corner of our planet. We've seen spring's gentle awakening, the way life whispers itself back into existence after winter's silence. We've witnessed the tender unfurling of leaves, the return of birds, the emergence of flowers that paint the world in hope and renewal. Spring reminds us that no matter how dark or cold life becomes, there's always the possibility of new beginning. We've basked in summer's golden abundance, feeling the sun's generous embrace as it pours energy onto the earth. We've seen how the long days and warm nights create a season of joy and celebration, of growth and exploration. Summer teaches us about abundance, about the incredible generosity of life when conditions are right. We've walked through autumn's gallery of colors, watching as trees transform their leaves into masterpieces of gold and crimson before letting them go. We've seen how nature demonstrates the art of graceful release, of preparing for change, of finding beauty in transition. Autumn shows us that endings can be as beautiful as beginnings, and we've rested in winter's quiet embrace, understanding that stillness is not emptiness, but fullness of a different kind. We've learned that rest is not the absence of life, but life's way of preparing for renewal. Winter teaches us that sometimes the most important thing we can do is simply be still and wait. These seasons flow through our planet in an endless cycle, each one preparing the way for the next. Spring's growth builds towards summer's abundance. Summer's energy creates the harvest that autumn celebrates. Autumn's preparation makes winter's rest possible, and winter's stillness allows spring to begin again. But the seasons don't just flow through our planet, they flow through us. We are children of the earth, part of the same great rhythm that governs all life. When we align ourselves with these natural cycles, when we allow ourselves to grow and rest, to celebrate and reflect, we find a deeper harmony with the world around us. The seasons remind us that change is not something to fear, but something to embrace. They show us that every ending contains the seeds of a new beginning, that every loss makes space for something new to grow. They teach us patience, showing us that growth takes time, that the most beautiful things often develop slowly. As you prepare to rest tonight, carry with you the gentle rhythm of the seasons. Let yourself be part of the earth's patient dance, tilting and turning through the cycles of time. Remember that you too have seasons within you, times of growth and times of rest, times of abundance and times of reflection. Honor these inner seasons just as nature honors her outer ones. Give yourself permission to bloom in your spring, to shine in your summer, to release in your autumn, and to rest in your winter. The earth continues her eternal dance, and you are part of that dance. The same sun that warms the spring flowers warms your face. The same moon that guides migrating birds guides your dreams. The same cycles that govern the forests and fields govern the beating of your heart. Rest now in this knowledge. Rest in the quiet confidence that life continues, that seasons change, that after every winter comes a spring. Rest in the beauty of being part of something so much larger than yourself, yet so intimately connected to who you are. The seasons will continue their dance long after we're gone, but tonight, right now, you are part of that dance. You are connected to the great rhythm of the earth, the patient breathing of the planet, the eternal song of life itself. Thank you, my listener, for spending this quiet moment with me. Until next time, sleep well and stay curious.